This video is going to be about a mobile gulag system. This is also called gang stalking or mobbing. It is something I have experienced and have come across. I will try to push as much information as I can within these videos. Thank you for watching. The new prison system, made mostly for conservatives and opponents of the left. The mobile gulag is a multi-level tiered system, with the lowest levels using small groups to force shame and conformity. The most severe of these groups are willing to use rape, forced suicides, child abuse, government organizations, government officials, possibly even fake government officials, and eventually even killing and murder. I will discuss the techniques of such an attack within these videos. The latest examples of mobile gulags in use today were in the lives of Owen Benjamin and still in the life of Tommy Robinson. But for the more extreme example, look at Goa Xinxing, also called China's conscience. It's spelled Goazhishing. Isolation is a key factor in the mobile gulag. And their ability to do damage and to break the target of a mobile gulag. Isolation is invaluable. It's not a technique of the mobile gulag, but a desired result that aids in its success. This can range from complete to partial isolation. The more complete the isolation, the easier it is to destroy the target. And it's easier to use the more advanced techniques that are described later in another video in this series. If a target is completely isolated, the danger increases for the target. Because who will care if the target is disappeared or hurt badly? If they are surrounded by only attackers and those who want to do ill of them. Just look at the case of Ida Wambir from the Gulag of North Korea. Isolation, national as well as normal Gulag isolation, meant they could hurt him without fear. This is what makes isolation a key factor in the normal Gulag as well as in a mobile one. In normal real-life gulags, they make the prisoners turn on each other. So even a word spoken as secret is not a secret. Of course, the target or prisoner can't trust anyone running the prison. They can't trust the prisoners because they'll turn on them. So he or she are all by themselves. They also use a lack of self-trust to break the target's spirit and also strip them of any self-worth. This happens by changing rules and making sure the prisoner doesn't know what's going to happen next. This is mixed with a lot of monotony and normalcy. And that way, the change, the making sure the prisoner doesn't know what happens next, eventually becomes normal. And this is echoed also within the mobile gulag. Different level of attackers within a mobile gulag. There are 3 levels of attackers in a mobile gulag. One is the main attacker, or the main attack group. Second and second level guards or attackers. And the third is acquaintance or perimeter attackers, which will all be explained right now. The main attackers or guards can be any size group of relations. They can be broken down into leader and followers. The lead main attacker, usually called a central main attacker, has something personal invested in the mobile gulag. But the other main attackers or guards are usually heavily active within the mobile gulag. And they are usually connected to the main attacker, whether through friendship, love, or a family. The exception of this is the mobile gulag spans off multiple central main attackers, which can happen if certain circumstances are met, especially in big groups or if there's some government involvement like police force or, let's say state or local, or it can be anything. This could also create another secondary and third level attacker system, unknown to the original mobile gulag. Now I will describe the secondary level attackers or guards. You can think of these guys as friends of the main attackers. These people can be workers in places the target visits, police officers, gangs, gang leaders. They can also be drug users or drug dealers because of the euphoria of the collective attack. This seems to attract many of those kinds of people. Many attackers find out where the target frequents and spread negative rumors there. Then they spread the mobile Gulag attacking techniques to those who are willing to help them attack the target. This helps break the target and helps to hide who's at fault of the attack from the target's point of view, which also makes the target not trust themselves. Now, if you wonder what the euphoria of the collective attack is, it is about people who have addictive personalities. They get a high when they hurt the target. Because of the collective group effort that makes them feel amazing. It also gives you a superiority high if the attacker believes the person or the target so-called deserved it. So you not only have a high of superiority, you have a high euphoria that you're all doing it together. Now, the third level attackers are the people who attack the target once or twice, just for the heck of it or for solidarity within their group. In one company I worked for, they said every person working there would attack me at least once. This made sure nobody could say that what had happened without getting themselves in trouble also. I call these people perimeter attackers or third level attackers. These attackers appear to not really be invested in the attack and do not really have a desire to attack the target other than camaraderie. Ignorance of the public. This is an important factor. They use the public as a battering ram and as an agent of their attacks. Because the public doesn't know the real evil these attacks are. They can consider the mobile gulags good, or they consider the targets as being weak and deserving. They're usually misinformed about the targets and about how far these attacks have gone. They also don't really know the whys of the attack going on. They do not see the reason to help the target escape. So making sure the public stays ignorant of these attacks allows the mobile gulags to perfect their attacks and keep the attackers protected from any recourse, and also keep these attacks as sadistic as possible. What are the techniques, and what determines the severity of these techniques? Technique 1, ally or foe technique. This technique is how the target's family, friends, acquaintances, and or bystanders are used against the target to help break him or her during the mobile gulag attack. There are 4 types of techniques: family or foe technique, friend or foe technique, bystander or foe technique, or just foe technique. Family or foe technique and friend or foe technique are so similar, I can explain both at the same time. The family or foe technique or friend or foe technique. The group either turns a family member or friend against you, or they get as close to you as possible, and they try to become an acquaintance, or a friend, or a girlfriend or boyfriend. This is for multiple reasons. One reason is to get information to use against a target, to create a more personalized attack towards a target. Friends and family already know you well, so getting them on the gulag side is a worthwhile endeavor. It helps the gulag get you info, know background details, and become a friend to the target so much easier. This way, when the target is isolated, the only friends he will have left is a fake friend to the mobile gulag. That is the goal. That is what pushes the target to trust the wrong people, which in the end increases the isolation of the target, ends up giving the gulag an overwhelming possibility that it will win. The bystander or foe technique. The bystander or foe technique is basically a bystander that the target believes is neutral, but is actually a friend or ally of the mobile gulag. This makes the target feel safe in an environment where the target really isn't. The bystander will act like he is surprised at what is happening, or he will act like nothing odd is going on around him. Then he will help with the attack in some way. The target will then realize they are in a more dangerous situation than it appeared before. Because as a target, you can rely on innocent bystanders at least being honest, and at least not tampering with the attack, and even stop the possibility of the attack becoming physical and much more dangerous. Because the bystander is no longer neutral, you no longer have that air of possible safety. The bystanders in a mobile gulag tend to be friends or acquaintances of the main or secondary guards. Many times you do not see these people more than once. They tend to be the third layer guards of the mobile gulag attackers. This also tends to prove the target that they can no longer believe their instincts are right, because they're always surrounded by enemies. They cannot trust anyone else either. So they cannot trust themselves, they cannot trust anyone else. It kills their self-trust in so many ways. Figuring out what is dangerous, what is not dangerous, figuring out a dangerous situation, not being able to trust their ability to pick someone who's trustworthy. This increases the stress on the target exponentially and helps break the target very quickly. Just a faux technique. This is kind of self-explanatory. These type of people start out acting as foes and increase their interactions and severity of the attacks with the target